Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are really opening up a topic that sits right at the intersection of emotion and, well, cold, hard arithmetic.
Personal finance.
Exactly. And we're wading into what feels like a financial sacred cow, this deeply held belief that you must pay off your mortgage as fast as you possibly can.
It's advice that's, it's rooted in history and it's driven by pure feeling. But in today's world with low interest rates, following that emotion can be, it can be really destructive. It can lead you right into something called the liquidity trap.
Okay, let's unpack that.
Yeah.
Because the source material gives this scenario that is just so relatable. Imagine you're 45 years old. You've been so disciplined sending extra payments every month for years.
You're doing everything you were told was the right thing.
Right. And finally, you log into your bank portal. You see that last little bit, maybe $40,000 left. You hit submit payment. It's gone. The mortgage is paid off. You're debt-free.
And that moment, it must feel euphoric. I mean, that's the absolute definition of perceived safety. The house is finally yours.
You sleep soundly for, a few months? You feel responsible, secure, completely safe.
But that feeling of security can be incredibly brittle.
And that's the twist. 6 months later, the economy shifts. Your company downsizes, and that stable six-figure job,
Yeah.
it's just gone overnight. So now you're sitting in this beautiful paid-for house, but your bank account.
It's nearly dry because you poured every spare dollar into the house.
And that is where the terror starts. You're technically asset-rich, but you can't pay for groceries. You can't fix the car.
You're functionally broke. You're trapped inside your own biggest asset.
Which brings us to the central question we have to answer today. How can you be debt-free with hundreds of thousands in home equity and still be on the brink of financial ruin? That right there is the liquidity trap.
So our mission in this deep dive is to challenge that traditional idea of safety. We really want to show you that the choice to pay off that debt early, it often comes from a place of fear, not a place of mathematical advantage.
That emotional part is huge. The discomfort with the word debt, it's almost seen as a moral failing in our culture, isn't it?
It is. And that feeling pushes people to make decisions that actually hurt them financially, just to get rid of that uncomfortable feeling.
And that's how the trap springs shut.
Exactly. Think about our homeowner again, the one who just lost their job. They need cash now. So they have what seems like a brilliant idea. I'll just get a home equity loan.
The HELOC.
Yeah.
Makes sense, right? Tap into that equity.
You'd think so, but the bank, they don't really care that the house is paid off.
No, they care about risk, your current risk.
Precisely. They look at the application and say, I'm sorry, you have no verifiable income, no job, no loan. It's that simple. And what if this is happening during a recession?
Then lending standards get even tighter.
Right. If the market dips or your credit score takes a hit because you missed a couple of bills, you have zero chance of getting that loan. So all that wealth you built up in the house is completely trapped.
It's a number on a piece of paper. It's not real.
You got it. Equity doesn't pay the heating bill. It doesn't buy food. Cash does.
So when you send that extra money to the bank, you're making a trade. You're trading liquid, flexible cash for illiquid, trapped equity.
The one thing you need most in a crisis is time. And time is bought with cash, not with the bragging rights of a zero mortgage.
Okay, let's use a thought experiment to really hammer this home. We've got two people. Person A is the one we've been talking about. Paid off their $500,000 house, feels great, but only has, say, $5,000 in savings.
They have the trophy.
They have the trophy. Then there's person B. They still have a $200,000 mortgage, but it's at a low rate. And they took all that extra money and built a $500,000 investment portfolio. Liquid, accessible.
Okay.
Now, a major emergency hits both of them, a $50,000 problem. Who is actually safer?
Oh, it's not even a contest. The person with liquidity wins every single time.
Explain why.
Well, person A with the paid-off house has a $50,000 problem and only $5,000 to solve it. They might be forced to sell that beautiful house, probably at a discount because they're desperate.
They have no options.
Zero. Meanwhile, person B can calmly withdraw what they need from their investments. They can weather the storm for months, even years, without panicking. Their life isn't derailed.
So this completely reframes what financial safety is. It's not the absence of debt.
No, it's the presence of optionality. It's having choices.
And cash buys you those choices.
Cash buys you time. And if we can get people to stop seeing debt as a moral issue and start seeing it as a tactical tool, then the math becomes much, much clearer.
And that's a perfect transition because the math has fundamentally changed.
It really has. And we have to give some historical context here because the advice to pay off your mortgage early, it wasn't always bad advice. It used to be brilliant.
When was that?
We're talking the 70s, 80s, even the early 90s. Mortgage rates back then were, they were brutal.
Like, what are we talking?
12%, 14%, sometimes even higher. Agonizingly high, like you said.
Wow.
So if your loan is at 14%, paying it down is a guaranteed tax-free 14% return on your money. You couldn't beat that in the market safely. So paying it off early was absolutely the smartest move, a total no-brainer.
But that's not the world we live in now. The reality for most people listening is that their mortgage is at 3, maybe 4, maybe 5%.
Exactly. So every extra dollar you send the bank now earns you exactly that, a guaranteed 3 to 5% return.
Let me ask you this then. Would you ever knowingly put $100,000 into an investment that locked up your money, gave you only a 4% return, and made it almost impossible to get back in an emergency?
Of course not. No financial advisor would ever recommend that. But that is precisely what you are doing when you pay down a low-interest mortgage ahead of schedule.
This gets into the mindset of the wealthy. They use concepts like arbitrage and leverage.
Right. Arbitrage is the key. Just think about what a bank does. They borrow money from you, the saver, at maybe 0.5%. Then they lend it out as a mortgage at 4%.
They make the spread.
They make the spread. Smart individuals should do the same thing. You use cheap debt, your 4% mortgage, to buy assets that have a higher return, like an index fund that historically returns, say, 8 or 10%.
So that difference, that 4 or 6% gap, is wealth you're creating just with strategy.
Purely with strategy. Let's put some hard numbers on it. Let's say you have an extra $100,000.
Okay, option A. You send it all to the bank to pay down your 4% mortgage. Feels good. You save $4,000 a year in interest.
Solid. Now, option B. You invest that $100,000 in a diversified portfolio. Let's be conservative and say it earns 8% over the long term. That's $8,000 in the first year alone.
That's a $4,000 difference right away. But the real story isn't just about year one, is it?
Not at all. The real story is about the compounding engine. In option A, that $4,000 you saved is static. It's gone. You killed the debt, but you didn't create anything that grows.
Whereas in option B?
In option B, that $8,000 you earned gets reinvested. The next year, you're earning a return on $108,000, and so on and so on. It snowballs.
So by choosing option A, you're not just losing $4,000 a year, you're destroying decades of potential exponential growth. You're giving up leverage for a tiny illiquid return.
And this is where inflation comes in and just supercharges the whole argument.
This is fascinating. The 30-year fixed mortgage might be one of the best deals a consumer can ever get, purely because of inflation.
Absolutely. Most people see inflation as a bad thing, right? Prices go up. But for a debtor with a fixed-rate loan, it is a massive, massive gift. Inflation slowly destroys the value of the money you owe.
Okay, break down how that works, the cheaper dollars idea.
Sure. Let's say your mortgage payment is $2,000 a month. Today, that feels like a lot of money. But what about in 20 years, after 2 decades of normal inflation and hopefully pay raises?
That $2,000 will feel like a much smaller part of your monthly budget.
Exactly. The payment stays the same, but the value of each dollar you use to pay it goes down. You're paying back yesterday's debt with tomorrow's cheaper, weaker dollars.
So when you pay that loan off early,
You're forfeiting that entire advantage. You're giving the bank strong, valuable dollars today instead of weak, inflated dollars later. It's like you're giving the bank a gift.
when you put all three of those things together, the lost liquidity, the lost leverage, and the lost inflation advantage, the opportunity cost becomes staggering.
It's life-changing. Let's run the numbers on that. Let's say you can pay an extra $1,000 a month. The responsible thing to do is send it to the mortgage. That's option A.
And option B is to redirect that same $1,000 a month into an automated investment in a low-cost index fund. Let's assume a 10% historical average return.
Okay. After 15 years, the investor in option B has a portfolio worth about $400,000.
Wow. Liquid. Accessible.
Yep. And what if they keep that up for the full 30 years of the original mortgage term?
What's the final number?
The difference is shocking. The investor has a portfolio worth nearly $2 million. The person who paid off the house early, they have a paid-off house, which probably would have appreciated anyway, and basically nothing else to show for it.
So the hidden cost of feeling safe early on was over $1 million.
Yeah.
That's a number you have to sit with for a minute.
It is. And this is where we have to talk about the psychological trap.
Good.
Because everyone says the same thing. Oh, I'll pay off the house first, and then I'll start investing aggressively.
But it never works out that way, does it?
Rarely. It's called lifestyle creep. Once that big mortgage payment is gone, the money just disappears. It gets absorbed. A nicer car, more vacations, eating out more. The discipline vanishes because the structure is gone.
So keeping the mortgage actually forces a kind of discipline. It makes you budget for both the house and the investment.
It's a behavioral guardrail. It forces you to build a liquid asset alongside your illiquid one. Which brings us to the big paradigm shift. Low-interest debt is not toxic. It is a financial tool.
The wealthy use it all the time. Corporations use it.
Right, only the middle class is taught to be terrified of it. But look, this isn't to say you should never pay off your mortgage early. There are two very specific situations where it absolutely makes sense.
Okay, what are they?
The first one is just math. If you have a really high interest rate, say 8 or 9% or more, then paying it down is a great guaranteed return. The math flips back in favor of paying it off.
And the second one is behavioral.
This requires some real self-awareness. If you know deep down that you will just spend the extra money if you don't send it to the bank, if you know you won't invest it.
Then use the mortgage as a forced savings account.
Exactly. It's the less efficient path, but it's better than not building any net worth at all.
So for everyone else, the disciplined people, there's a much smarter way, a strategy that kind of gives you the best of both worlds.
We call it the Freedom Fund strategy. It's simple. Stop sending the extra money to the bank. Instead, automate that same amount into a separate investment account, a low-cost index fund. You can even name it Mortgage Freedom Fund if that helps emotionally.
So you keep the discipline, but you direct the capital to a place where it works harder for you, stays liquid, and builds real wealth.
You get a triple win. You get wealth from the returns, you get liquidity for emergencies, and you get resilience for the long haul. You're building resources, not just paying for walls.
To bring it all together then, a paid-off house is a trophy. It's an impressive symbol and it feels really good. But a growing investment portfolio? That's protection, that's power, that's flexibility.
I'd rather have the army than the trophy. The army is what protects you in a crisis. The trophy is just something to look at while you're scrambling to find cash.
A perfect way to put it. We've challenged a sacred belief and found that, in this case, emotional comfort comes at a financial cost that most people just never stop to calculate.
And that leads to our final thought for you to take away. If low-interest mortgage debt is a key to creating leverage and long-term wealth, what other good debt might you be paying off too early? Think about low-interest student loans, for example. What opportunities are you missing by prioritizing comfort over strategy?
Something to think about. We've given you the framework. We encourage you to run the numbers for your own situation. We'll see you next time for the next deep dive.